All right, Nancy Kruh, thank you so much for coming on the Happiest Retirees podcast.
Happy to be here.
I wanted to get a little bit into your life and how you got here. It seems like the two big cities that have been parts of your life are Dallas and Nashville. Is that
Yep.
correct? Okay,
Yep.
so you spent about 25 years at the Dallas Morning News.
I was born in Arkansas, raised in Kansas, went to school in Dallas, SMU, and was there for 37 years and had my whole big journalism career there for 25 of those years at the Dallas Morning News. And then my wife and I moved to Nashville for her work in 2009. So this is our 15th. This will be our 15th year here in Nashville.
Oh wow. Okay. So you went to Southern Methodist is that in Dallas? That's
Yeah.
right in Dallas.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
that led to the Dallas Morning News, 25 years
Started
there.
there writing obituaries and answering the telephone when I was a junior in college.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you said that was back when you didn't have to pay for an obituary.
Yes. It was just a college student on the phone taking phone calls from funeral homes.
I think death is
Yeah.
much more expensive. I guess inflation even hits death.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and then so when you moved in 2009 with your wife to Nashville, and then I don't know what you did until 2013, but at that point you started writing for People magazine, I think.
Right. Yes, I was still doing freelance work for the Dallas Morning News. I did that after I left. And so I brought that with me. It was a work that traveled. And then in 2013, 14, I really stumbled into my work with people. Yeah.
How do you stumble into something like that?
It's kind of a recurring theme of my life. We filled out a questionnaire, of course, for this, and basically, when I was in high school, I had a dream of being a feature writer at a big metropolitan newspaper, and I reached that by the time I was in my early 30s. And I did that for a dozen years, and I realized I was done. And I had not anticipated that. And I did not have another big dream, and went through kind of really a discernment process of what I should do. And fortunately, my wife ended up in work that was able to support us both during that period. And I walked away from the job. And ever since then, really what has ruled my life much more is what I've been able to attract rather than go after. And there have been some real interesting things that I have ended up attracting, including this people work. One of my closest friends, Cindy Sands, we actually shared a desk and a computer together at the Dallas Morning News. Yeah, back in the day. She went on to be one of the head honchos at People magazine.
Oh,
and she
really?
And she went on to, and one of her specialties was country music. And so when we moved here, she was in and out all the time because at the time People had a quarterly magazine, People Country. And at first she asked me, she says, do you want to do some work with People? And I was doing other things. And I said, no. And she had two full-time freelancers as it was. But one night they couldn't do something. And by then I was already volunteering a lot at the Country Music Hall of Fame. I came here knowing nothing about country music, let me add.
Oh, really? I just assumed you were a fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. And so I just thought, okay, I'm living in Nashville. I guess I better get acquainted. And I fell in love with the museum, started volunteering there, started going to concerts. Cindy would come into town. She'd take us out. We got to go to some wonderful events. And I got interested in the scene. But one afternoon she called and said, the other two can't do this. Please do this assignment for me. I said, okay, what is it? And she goes, well, Reba McIntyre is surprising Little Big Town at the Grand Ole Opry and inviting them to be members of the Grand Ole Opry. And I went, okay, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
And so went, interviewed Little Big Town afterwards for about 5 minutes, wrote a story, turned it in, got paid, and I went, I can do this.
Yeah.
All of my feature writing skills just came soaring back. I'm not sure they ever left. Anyway, within the year, the other two freelancers dropped back. One of them got another job. The other one had a baby. And suddenly within the year, I was first string, or what I call the first string stringer. And that's when I realized, oh, I think I really better start taking this seriously. And so I have, and I had to totally reinvent myself as, I really a celebrity journalist is what I call it. Because I cover it from a lifestyle.
Right.
People magazine is a celebrity lifestyle magazine, and so I cover it not from the music aspect, although we talk music a lot, but it's mostly how these people are living their lives. And so I really did have to reinvent myself, because you don't show up on these people's doorstep with them knowing your resume. And no matter all the accomplishments, and I had some significant accomplishments in Dallas, I started from square one here and had to prove myself all over again in my 50s. And that was really interesting and challenging, and also incredibly rewarding, because it is a tight community, and you learn real quickly that you have to prove yourself here.
That's an interesting angle, because so if you're reinventing yourself in your 50s or starting from scratch, you're probably I'm assuming you're wiser than you were when you started maybe in your 20s. So in that way it might be easier, but but you're not like you don't have endless energy, or maybe you did, but I don't think I do.
I've never pulled an all-nighter. I can hump it if I need to, but these days it takes me 2 or 3 days to recover from, as opposed to a day.
Right. Yeah.
I'm pretty wiped out after the CMA Awards, believe me.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the real issue for me was celebrity journalism is much, much different animal than, I'm being candid here, from writing about, and I'm using air quotes here, real people. Because
right.
I spent my entire career talking to people most of whom you've never heard of.
Yeah.
You just show up on their doorstep and say, tell me a story. I didn't have sometimes 2 or 3 publicists in the room listening. I wasn't on a red carpet in what is an assembly line of journalism.
Yeah.
None of that. And there's no textbook for 2-minute interviews. Yeah.
Oh, right. Because
you just
how do you
learn
even
it on the
get
job.
I can imagine it'd be hard to get what you need in 2 minutes. Yeah. It's an understatement.
It's a skill. It's a skill. Yeah. Yeah. The hardest part for me, I think, is probably just thinking that fast on my feet.
Yeah.
Because you don't really have to. I mean, real people who don't have publicists are a lot more forgiving if you're going, oh, I forgot that question. I'll get back to it.
Right. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm happy to talk to you again. But, Reba McIntyre doesn't have time.
Nor does she give you her phone number for follow-up questions.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying that the average person doesn't have 2 publicists and an agent and a manager? Okay.
But it's been delightful. It really has. And I've gotten to be good friends with the publicists, and I'm really happy and proud to be a part of the music community here. It's been so unexpected and very, very delightful. Really has been.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. In fact, the way I became aware of you was through a publicist who's a friend of mine,
Sure.
Andrea. So
Andrea. Mm-hmm.
It seems like you have made friends with.
Yeah, and she's the best. Yeah, we've met through the museum, not just only for my work with people, but also in my volunteering with the museum as well. So,
well, and that's an interesting topic. We do a lot of research about happy retirees, and volunteering almost always tops the list of favorite core pursuits, which is a term we use for hobbies that people are passionate about. So you volunteer as well.
I had spent a huge amount of time since I left the Dallas Morning News giving away my work. Yes.
And
Yeah.
is that rewarding? You find,
Yes. It was a bit of an adjustment, I'll be
yeah.
honest, to do work that you are used to being paid for and to donate it. But I love it now.
Oh, wow.
I really do. I value the satisfaction of doing something that has nothing to do with monetary reward. Absolutely.
How do you think you were able to make that transition in your, I guess, your attitude, or just, I don't know how you want to put it, but what changed for you?
I think the people that I volunteered for, fortunately, showed a lot of gratitude because they knew what they were getting to get a professional editor and writer to be doing something that they didn't have to pay for, and particularly a lot of organizations that don't have the money
Right.
for it, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that I would just do it out of my love, and that it comes purely from my heart. I will tell you one of the things that I am really one of the proudest accomplishments in my life. The Country Music Hall of Fame Museum, their flagship curriculum for kids is called Words and Music, and it teaches language arts through songwriting. And it's been going on since the late 80s, and I got to be close to the education director at the museum at the time, and they were going through, it's now, I guess, 7 or 8 years ago, they were going through a process of actually rewriting the entire curriculum and splitting it apart for 3, 6, and then 7, 12 grade. And she brought me into it, and I ended up working on it so long and hard. I mean, it was months.
It sounds like a big project.
Plural project, and we were doing
Yeah.
both of them at once. That she, in the end, gave me editor credit and co-writer credit for it.
Wow.
A volunteer. And it went on to win this huge museum award, beating out, may I say, the Smithsonian.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so, hey, I got my rewards there, very much so.
Yeah.
And the reward of knowing, I mean, thousands and thousands of school kids have taken it since then. And knowing that I've had a part in that kind of impact, that is a feeling that I really rarely have ever got in my newspaper work, because you never got a sense of being read,
Oh,
particularly
really? Okay.
in print journalism. I mean, you do now with clicks. We can count with digital, you can count your audience. But when I was working for a print publication, some days I just feel like I was throwing my work down a rat hole,
Right.
Because
Who knows? You can't tell if anyone's
Yeah.
reading it. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. But I know people, yeah, this is something that I'm not exaggerating. I think that has changed kids' lives. Yeah. And that makes me feel really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and how funny that, I mean, the Dallas Morning News is like a giant paper, and you couldn't tell if you were making an impact. And here you are volunteering, and you know for sure you are.
Yeah. And that's
It's
been really important to me. Yeah.
well, you had mentioned that you don't necessarily need to change the world, but you want to matter. But it sounds like maybe you
Yeah.
are changing the world.
Well, on a micro level, perhaps, yes, I think I've had an impact on people's lives, and I feel good about that, and I don't feel like I'm done with that.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Even in my people work right now, I'm being really selective. We communicated previously, and I told you that I've been cutting back my work in the past couple of years. COVID had something to do with it, but also I was realizing I was kind of repeating myself with stories, and that didn't feel good. And so I've averaged a little over 2 stories a month just this past year, which has been great and allowed my wife and I to do a lot of travel and giving us more freedom. But the stories that I really am picking now is, one, people who I already know I love and enjoy, and love catching up with, and have developed a bit of friendship with, and also love their music. And so the great thing about working for what could be in the genre of what I consider a fan magazine is it's okay to be supportive of the people you write about. You know, it's okay
Yeah.
that you don't have to be objective. You know,
Right.
that great column in journalism that you have to hold on to your objectivity. I'm rooting for these people. I want them to do
Right.
well.
They're not going to say, "How dare you write about Reba and enjoy her music?"
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can like their music. But the other thing is to I love to put the spotlight on what I feel are people who have something to say.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm working on a profile of Shane McAnally, who's not a household name like Reba McIntyre is, but he's a big, big deal here in Nashville as a songwriter and producer. And I could name you 10 songs right now that he's written that you Body Like a Back Road, and John Cougar, John Deere, John 316, Somewhere With You, Kenny Chesney. I mean, he hit after
Wow.
hit. Anyway, he's in a life phase right now. Kind of would be good for me. Well, he's a little young. He's turning 50, but it is a new life phase for him. And we had a really, what I felt was an important conversation that I think people in their 40s could read and will read and take away some life lessons from. And so those are stories that I'm still hungry to tell. I'm still hungry to lift up so talented women and people of color in country music,
Oh,
because
wow.
they are not getting the attention and the airplay that the men get, that the white male artists get. And so I have an opportunity to help these people who are exceptionally talented and need to be heard. And so in that sense, I feel like I am serving a purpose. I'm purposeful in this work, even though I work for a celebrity lifestyle magazine, which is entertainment. It is entertainment.
I guess the goal is that it's entertainment with a little more. You know, it's a little purposeful. It's not just like, oh, Reba likes waffles or something, right? You know.
You must like Reba McIntyre a lot.
I feel like Reba transcends genre. She's just Reba, so she's the
Yeah,
name I keep thinking
yeah,
of. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've interviewed her. I something happened to me that I never expected when I started being a stringer for people, you know, and then I've actually had 2 cover stories, and one of them was on Reba.
Oh.
The other one was on Luke Bryan, and so
Oh.
I did get my moment with Reba, and she is a force of nature, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's 6 months behind me,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
okay.
yeah. But boy, do not put the word retirement around that woman.
She won't be coming
Woo!
on this show, you don't think?
No. If you follow her, I mean, she's going faster now than she did 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Harder and
my
faster.
my my wife watches The Voice, and she was a judge on it this year, and so I feel like I really got to know her a little more. I mean, got to know her. It's not like, you know, but
Yeah,
yeah, she's a lot of fun. She's a force of
yeah,
nature, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she likes tater tots. I don't know why I said waffles. Just
Oh,
to keep the record
that's
clear.
that's
Yeah,
her nickname for the new boyfriend. Yeah, who's
is it
not
tater
so
tot?
new anymore. Tater tot. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
See, I know that. I know
Whoa.
like shocking tidbits about country music celebrities. It's embarrassing sometimes.
Feel free to share anything you're allowed to share. The publicists
No,
are not in the room right now, so we
they're all lovely people.
well, is you had mentioned some artists who we may not know, but you find it very rewarding to write about. Is there anyone you want to mention? I mean, maybe someone will
Oh,
listen
right
to
now.
this and
Well, I got another story coming up on the War and Treaty.
Oh,
husband and wife, and they were just accompanying Charlie Puth on the Emmys the other night,
oh,
and they're Michael Trotter and his wife Tanya Trotter, and they both have powerhouse voices, the kind of voices that you would think would be solo career artists. And she actually had a bit of a career in the 90s, and then they met several years later. And it took them a while to actually start singing together. But when they did, it was just combustion. And now,
really?
I mean, they are just, yeah, every time I see them, it's just, they're breathtaking. And they're up for 2 Grammys this year. They are the Duo of the Year for the Americana Awards. But country music audiences are very much discovering. They've toured with Chris Stapleton. They're going back out with Chris Stapleton, which is a wonderful match. They've been on a couple CMA Awards shows, and every time they bring the house down.
Yeah.
It's just, they're amazing. I cannot say enough good things about them. Yeah.
I love that word combustion. That makes
Yeah.
me want to run out and check out the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Please do. Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy to sing their
Well,
praises. Absolutely.
let's go back a little bit and just talk about your specific kind of status in life right now. Would you consider yourself sort of semi-retired, or I've heard the phrase unretirement, which is, you're choosing more of what you want to do, but you're definitely not.
When Andrea wrote and said, I think you'd be great for this, the first thing I did is sent her an email that said, I'm really flattered, Andrea, but I'm not retired.
Yeah.
I consider myself semi-retired. I'm still working. I'm still in the game. And then I sent it off and walked around the house and considered the question some more. And I tell you, all of a sudden it hit me. I mean, like Bruce Willis on Sixth Sense. In that movie where he goes,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm dead.
Right. Right.
And I went, oh my God, I think I'm retired.
Wow. That's the most dramatic retirement story I've ever heard, I think.
Because the more I considered it, the problem I really think is with our language does not give us the term for what retirement is today. It has given us a word, and I'm a word person, right? It's given us a word that is synonymous with going to bed.
Exactly.
It's time to retire. I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
It is Barcalounger language. Right?
I'm so glad you're a writer because you find all the perfect words.
Active retirement is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Right? And like sedate, relaxed retirement is redundant. Right?
Yeah. We need to retire
so,
the word retire, right? I mean,
yeah,
but
the problem is it's a failure of the language's imagination.
yeah.
Because it's a word that does not really, as it's defined, doesn't fit my lifestyle, but which behooves us to redefine what it means. And so I'm thinking, okay, what does this new phase of my life mean, whatever we choose to call it? Because I do believe I'm in a new phase.
Yeah.
And I think it's a phase where what gets down to me giving myself more freedom to really decide what I want to do and to do it. And I say that not with having any great plan. Because like I said, my last big dream was I reached it in my 30s and I was done with it in my 40s. And so I'm used to not having a plan. I can live that way. I enjoy seeing what I have done attracts to me.
Yeah.
And because it more often than not has attracted things that have been unexpected, surprising, and that have changed my life.
That's so inspirational. That's how I want to live my life. Unfortunately, I might need your wife to help support me to do it.
It's been a real luxury. And that's the other thing that I leave out over the past 20, it's been 25 years that I left the paper, is I also have been an untraditional homemaker, what I call
There,
myself.
I love that term too. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that has been a part of my life too. Yeah,
You're still doing a lot of work, but maybe not the grind.
right.
But the
Right.
ability to just to see what attracts to you and then go for that. I mean, that is just sounds like
And on
such a
top of the
beautiful.
people work, I also have, just like I said, I mean, a part-time career, if you will, in doing volunteer work. Yeah. So
Right.
it's full.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working, in fact, besides my museum work, I've got another huge project involved with what my wife has been doing. And so that's
Oh.
been taking up a lot of time for the past year and a half.
Oh wow. So you're doing and that's volunteer work too that you're doing for your wife? Wow.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are volunteer of the year of the
Well, I don't know about that, but I come in handy. I'm the family editor.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
everyone needs one, and
Yeah, I
so when you
know.
have those skills, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So I'll very briefly, I will tell you, my wife comes out of a huge family of Methodism. Her father was retired Methodist bishop. Her brother's Methodist pastor, brother-in-law. I mean, the whole family is just riddled with clergy. She'll love that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, her dad and mom wrote a very, very popular Bible study series back in the 80s and 90s that 3 million people ended up taking. It was huge. It was
Wow.
called Disciple. And since then, the family, particularly her sister, who is a huge Christian educator, have kept it going with different generations of it. And in the past couple of years, the family, through the family's institute, it's kind of like a foundation, has been developing, of course, the Bible study on an app, which is where it needs to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's required re-editing, revision, and so I volunteered to do that. And it's for in a series, and every one of them is 24 lessons.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
I'm in the third at the moment. I probably, by the time I'm done, it will be like editing 4 full-length books.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of curriculum,
Yeah.
which is different. So
Definitely.
yeah. So I'm scriptured up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot about that too. That and country music. That's my wheelhouse. Those are my silos.
And did you know? I mean, guess you went to Southern Methodist, but did you know? Were you a Methodist before, or did you know anything about it before you started?
No, I was a lapsed Lutheran when I met Sarah, but became a Methodist pretty quickly, which is
Oh,
great.
okay.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to be involved in church, and it was a good thing to go back to. And faith is a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
Huge part of our lives. Very important. And so, actually, yes, I've taken Disciple Bible Study
Oh, okay.
over the years. And then I actually entered the family. Her father was so thrilled. Seriously, to have a family editor. I entered the family right when he was working on the second, third, and fourth. And so I helped him with some editing on the original textbooks. Yeah.
Oh, before this project.
Oh, yeah. This is back in the 90s.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever use the joke? There's a Methodist to the madness, or something. Something. I'm trying to think of the.
I think you must be the first.
Feel free to put that in. I don't need credit. Well, I'm thinking with your writing skills, you're kind of like that. If every family has one person that owns a truck and then that person always gets asked to help them move, that's what you are for writing.
I have worked on high school themes, college applications, lots of resumes. Actually, I got pulled in with a dear friend to work on a doctoral dissertation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that all volunteer. Yeah.
That is so cool. They're so lucky and they're so lucky to have you
It's been fun.
there, and it sounds like
Yeah.
you get a lot out of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're stuck with the word retired, then would you say you're a semi-retired person or an unretired person? I mean, how would you kind of? That's what it seems like to me, because you're still doing some work, but it's what you want, and then you're spending most of the time doing things that are very meaningful to you.
I since we have entered into this process of being on this podcast, since you invited me on this podcast, I've actually been trying on the word retired, but and say maybe this is what my retirement looks like. But I think if I were to introduce myself, I would say semi-retired, because I think that is probably more understandable to the person that I would be talking to, that they would understand that I'm still working and earning some money, but that a lot of my time is what I would consider my own. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. So that's sort of what I thought, and maybe you and I can get together and rewrite the word retired, and then we can submit it into the world. But
yeah,
for now,
I'll tell you another place that I've always thought the English language is lacking, and that also kind of comes into talking about what we want to do with our lives, is we've always only have two choices. You're either selfless or selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And we could talk about how maybe the decisions that I'm making, as I want to, my time is my own and I don't care about anybody else. I'm going to do what I want to do. That sounds very selfish. And the only alternative is to be selfless. No, I need to give myself to the world and a life of service, and I need to be selfless. And in between is, I think, where I want to be, but we really don't have a word for it, which I coin as selfful.
I like it.
And it means I can take care of myself and my needs and some of my wants and desires. And in doing so, I'm allowed, I am able to give back to the world and be purposeful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great word, because you're right. It's either like I'm a selfless monk who threw away all my earthly possessions, or I'm the selfish bastard. Like there needs to be. There's so much in between there.
The tycoon who just is saying more.
Yeah, and also selfish has such a negative connotation, but it's not always bad. I mean, I guess. Selfful is better, because if you want to just take care of yourself and listen to yourself, that's
but I think you have to. I really think, to be who you can be to the world, you have to take care of yourself.
And there are so many people who don't, and it always comes back to bite them.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't take care of, it's like going to the gym or exercising. You have to do that for yourself emotionally too.
Right.
Or you know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, yeah. I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah.
I had a ruptured disc when I was 38, 39 years old, and I had to have back surgery, and it's either from underuse or overuse that the injury happens, and mine was definitely from underuse, and I said it sentenced me to a life of exercise. But I can't imagine my life now without that being a part of my life. Yeah.
Well, you were saying that you exercise 5 to 6 days a week, I think.
Yeah.
And what do you do? I mean, maybe some of the people listening to the show are looking for guidance on that.
I'm really lucky that we bought a house that has a little studio in the back. Of course, it's Nashville. We all have studios, right?
Oh, is that true? Is that how it is in Nashville?
No, but there are a lot. There are a lot of homes that have, detached spaces that yes, it's for studios. In fact, we bought it for musicians that had used it as a studio, but it's my exercise room. And I've got an elliptical back there, and a rowing machine, and weights, and a TV to watch. And so most of my exercise is on those machines. But also, Sarah and I I'm pre-Title IX, so I never got to have a sport when I was growing up, which I always, I'm not bitter, but I am.
I'd be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I really am, because I was an active little kid. But during COVID, we bought kayaks. And Sarah's family has a vacation home out on a little lake in western North Carolina. And so we spent a lot of time out there during the quarantine. And I have just gone crazy for just kayaking on rivers and lakes.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's just, and talk about just a meditation of activity. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing that puts me in a different state. And so it's something that I've really been enjoying for the past 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
It seems like it would be a perfect blend of physical exertion and, meditative properties or,
Oh, yeah. The repetitive movement really does just put you in an altered state. Yeah, I love it.
And do you do that on the Mississippi River, or where do you do that in Nashville?
Well, actually, the Cumberland goes through Nashville, and I've never
Sorry.
gotten down to the Cumberland. But Nashville has 20 minutes outside of town the most miraculous river. It's the Harpeth, and it's called the Narrows of the Harpeth. And there is a section of the Harpeth that is literally shaped like a balloon, and where it cinches is about a quarter of a mile. So you can take one car out and put in, and then do 5 miles of paddling.
Oh, wow.
Pull it out, and then just walk and get your car and come get your boat, and you're done.
Perfect.
So
That
it's a
sounds like
perfect 2-hour paddle with one car. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not dealing with rapids or I mean, it's a
No.
safe
Oh
ride.
gosh, no. No. It is the perfect. It's a beautiful. They're bluffs that you paddle by. I've seen bald eagles out there, blue herons, deer. The last time I was out there crossing the river, in spots it's probably no more than a foot deep, and so it's perfect. Yeah,
Oh,
no
okay.
rapids. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
I am
interesting.
pushing 70, right? No rapids.
And I'm trying to send you out into this,
Yeah.
I don't know how they rate rapids. But
We did do some rapids a couple years ago. We were out in Colorado, and I got totally soaked. And the experience was fun. And I think I left it going. I did that. I don't need that
that's
again.
enough for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. So Nancy, why would you say you're a happy, retiree or semi-retiree? Why do you think you are that? And what can people emulate about you to get to that place?
Well, I think I have a full life. I certainly have a to-do list that I wish I could whittle down, but it keeps growing, whether it's work or play or travel or, friends or projects. I love having a full life. I love having things in my life that make me feel like I have purpose, and relevance is a word that I think about a lot. I have spent my whole life really working to satisfy my curiosity, which came before my career, but my career fed it, and I remain curious. And so I love to still learn, and I think that I will stay youthful as long as I keep learning new things, whether it's a new skill or new information, new insights. And we have a huge family that I enjoy a lot, and we spend a lot of time and invested in a lot. We have 9 nieces and nephews who are all grown.
Wow.
And we're oh gosh, I've lost count. I think we're up to 11, and we'll have our 12th great or niece or nephew, born at the end of February. And so we're enjoying that new generation. and wanting to be a part of their lives. And Sarah and I work very, very hard to be cool aunts.
I think you're pretty cool.
Thank
It's
you.
pretty natural.
And so those are things that are really that I think that keep me happy. But I think the thing that I really think a lot about and spend a lot of time doing is working on my health, because I am absolutely convicted, and I'm certainly not alone in this opinion, that your whole quality of life hinges on your health.
Yeah.
And so that for me is the exercise. I, my diet would be crazy for a lot of people, but Sarah and I love the way we eat, but I'm gluten-free. We're gluten-free. We're corn-free. I don't eat any red meat. I eat poultry and fish. I don't eat any fried foods. A lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, very few little processed foods. I don't drink. I smoked for maybe 15 years and quit when I was in my early 30s. Biggest regret of my life that I smoked, but
Oh, I thought you were
you
going to
know,
say biggest regret of your life was quitting smoking.
no, no. No, it was smoking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And so I live what a lot of people would consider, I guess, I mean, a clean life.
Yeah.
But I really feel like I am reaping the benefits of it because I am able to enjoy those grandkids and the nieces and nephews and their children, and I'm able to kayak, and I'm able to go sledding like I did on Monday with
Oh,
our godchildren here. Yeah,
how
I'm able
fun.
to do physical activity, and we're going to Costa Rica with a niece and her husband in March, and I am fully intending to do zip lining with them
Oh, how
too.
fun.
Yeah, and I have no qualms about doing that. We did it a few years ago in Australia, and I know I have the physical still ability to do that sort of thing, and trust
Yeah.
my body that I'm going to get through it. Yeah,
So it sounds like you had mentioned there are certain activities that aren't smart in your mind to do, like bungee jumping, but zip
yeah,
lining makes the cut, it sounds like.
yeah. It does.
That's safe enough. I
Right.
think that does sound much safer than bungee jumping. I'm guessing you're not going to go skydiving, or maybe you will. I don't know.
I've never had an interest in throwing myself out of an
Out of an
airplane.
airplane. Yeah.
No, no matter the age.
Right.
No,
Okay.
no, yes,
That's fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah. No, and I will tell you, I'm flashing now. I got invited to a friend's birthday party several years ago. It was her 30th, and she had at a roller rink, and I grew up at roller rinks. And I thought, oh, how fun. And I put the roller skates on, and I can still skate. And Sarah said something behind me, and I turned around. And as I turned around, I lost my balance. And in that split second before I hit, I went, oh, dear sweet Lord. In the next half second, I well could be in a cast for the next 6 weeks. Fortunately, I hit my tailbone and bruised it a little. I was okay, but I just thought, wow, unnecessary risk. That
Yeah.
was an unnecessary risk.
The
And I
the
think, no, there are things that are off the table now. And I think that was the end of my roller skating. And it's okay. It's okay.
right. I mean, unless roller skating had been the passion of your life, you can just kind of
Absolutely.
roll away
Yes.
from that.
Yeah.
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 Well, we do a lot of research about the relationship between parents and their adult children, and it showed that the happiest ones live somewhat close to at least one, or I think it may be half. So saying if you had two, it'd be one. But for you, it seems like you've sort of changed the paradigm. Instead of children, you've got nieces and nephews that sort of fill that need, or just add joy to your life.
Absolutely. I mean, neither Sarah nor I ever wanted to have our own kids. And so these 9 kids have just been a huge blessing in our lives. And
Yeah,
every
it
one of
sounds like
them,
it.
they're different and special in different ways. To have really worked on our friendships with them really since day one, because most of them were born after Sarah and I became a couple, because we've been together for 33, going on 34 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, it's
That's when
just,
they came along, the first niece or nephew?
the oldest is in her 40s now. And so she was probably, I guess, 10 or so when Sarah and I met.
Okay.
But most of the nieces and nephews do not remember a time when I wasn't in the family. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
there. You're just part
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. And in their teenage and college years, we made a point of taking each of them on a trip or doing something special with them. And so we built our relationship with them that way too. We took it two nieces to Australia and a niece to Thailand. We met a niece who was in the Peace Corps over in Senegal, a niece who was studying in Spain. We went to visit. A niece and a nephew we took to Italy, and so that's some of our most special memories. Yeah, with them.
I wish
Yeah.
I was your nephew. I want to go on those trips.
And they're fun. And being
Yeah.
around young people, keeps you young. I mean, that's
Oh,
another reason that I do what I do, because I talk to, these kids, they're in their 20s who are dreaming the dream and trying to live it out. And there is nothing that just is more exciting than to be in the same room with someone who is lit up with their passion at that
yeah.
age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
It keeps me
it,
young. It
same.
does.
Yeah. It keeps me
Yeah.
when I in that
Yeah.
in that experience. It keeps me from being as jaded as I might be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 And it.
Make younger friends. That's a huge piece of advice I would give people.
Oh, okay. Make younger
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one we haven't had before. That is a good
Find
one.
find people who are in different phases of their lives than you are. And if they want you in their lives, they're looking to you for whatever little wisdom you might have, and you get to surf their energy. It's great. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it too. You get to surf their energy because their energy is causing the wave. All you have to do is kind of hang 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
we had on my boss Wes Moss. He has his own podcast called Retire Sooner, and he had a guy on, Chris DeSantis, who was sort of an expert in all the generations, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about Gen X thinks this about millennials, and the boomers think this about. So I mean, it seems like, yeah, the only solution to the differences is to get to know each other and start to appreciate them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a common experience for people my age is we turn, particularly women, is we turn invisible to younger generations. And I get it, because I realized in my 20s that's how I treated women who are now my age, right?
Yeah.
I understand that we look at them and don't see relevance. We don't see that they might have a role in our lives. That's just it's a stereotype. And sometimes it's been I don't know, self-fulfilling. If you're in your 60s and 70s and are coasting, maybe you might not be that interesting to that age group. I am really lucky that I, particularly for these young artists, have something that they want, which is publicity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That makes you a
something
little
that
less
they
invisible.
really, really want. Yes, I am not invisible to them, and they let me into their world, and that's been a real gift. Not only do they share themselves, with me, but they share their energy with me, and I really take that from them. It energizes me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a benefit of the job I hadn't thought of. I could
Yeah.
see that being a real plus.
And there's a part of me too, interviewing 20-year-olds, and when they're having all these revelations that seem so unrevelatory to me at my age.
Yeah.
And you just go, "Oh, honey, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad you realized that."
Yeah, I
That's amazing. Wow.
I heard someone, I forget, it was on an interview. They were complaining to an older person about some aches and pains they had, and the older interviewer said, "Well, just wait, it gets worse." Like, it's like been there. You're not this
Right.
big revelation.
Right. Right. I've
Yeah,
interviewed a number of artists who around their 30th birthday, and I recognized this when I turned 30 of how I thought I was grown up when I was 18, but when I got to 30, I went, oh no, the 20s, huge growth area. You don't
yeah,
really realize that till you're 30. I've interviewed so many artists at their 30th birthday, and I said, you discovered you weren't quite grown up when you were a teenager, right? And they went, oh, the 20s are so huge.
yeah. I
Over and
think
over again.
part of
Yeah.
it is, at least I still have a lot to learn, but what I've learned is how little I know, and that's sort of helped me,
Yeah.
you know, grow up more, or
Yeah.
be more mature about
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. You know a lot less, a lot more when you're 20 than you do when you're
Right.
30.
You
And
think you've
that's a
got it
good
down.
thing. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
good thing to realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so you want to mention a few more of your favorite core pursuits? Because I think the more we can get out there, the more people might go, I'll try that. I'll go zip lining, or I'm assuming you don't zip line every day, but
No.
it sounds like most of yours would revolve around ways to feel creative.
Yeah. And honestly, that can take many forms. I told you I went back and actually got my master's degree after
Okay, I knew you had it. I didn't know when in your
yeah.
life you did that.
Yeah, after I quit the paper, and I just education is so wasted on the young. I got to
I
tell
know,
you,
I know.
and there's a part of me that really is still really drawn to wanting to be in that formal setting because I loved it. I just loved it. I took one class at a time, and I over prepared like nobody's business. And
Yeah.
one of the things I did was I took it was a creative. It's called I was at the University of Texas at Dallas, and it's Master of Arts, and so it was lots of creative writing, but also they included beginning oil painting, and
Mhm.
I'd always wanted to do something else creative that didn't have anything to do with words, and so my brushes are still out there next to my my rowing machine, and one of these days I'm going to get back to them. But that kept me going for a long time, and I do. I mean, picking up, even if you don't think you have any talent at it, it just doing it for fun, taking a class to do it, highly recommend. I have had fun with photography,
Mm.
and we're all carrying cameras
I
now.
know. And they're all, at this point, they're all
They're
pretty good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got my first, single lens reflex camera when I was in high school. I've taken pictures for years and years and years, but it is still an activity that I love and do practically every single day, whether it's just to capture a memory, and
Yeah.
or I'm out kayaking and the swan comes up to me and the light is perfect, and I have to capture that.
Yeah. I have the same thing. If I see a light, I don't know why this picture needs to be taken or what I'll do with
Yeah.
it, but I just got to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Another big thing that we do, lots and lots of music, live music.
Okay.
And just to have that very energetic atmosphere, and being around that creative power, and being in a community of people who are all enjoying, I think it's a life-giving force. And so to take in the arts,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for me, it's wonderful. Well, besides getting free tickets a lot, but I confess, to have some sort of personal connection to these people too has made it even more special.
Yeah.
And I work with the people that I cover. Fortunately, almost to a person, they're really nice people, and so
Oh, how cool
it's
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so that's given me a lot of joy. And creative acts as simple as cooking. I mean, there's so many nights that, Sarah and I have been so busy. Okay, what are we having for dinner? But when I allow myself to, get a new recipe out of the New York Times cookie or whatever, and I love grocery shopping, that I would go grocery shopping 100 times before I would go clothes shopping.
Yeah.
Just and picking out, fresh produce and just experiencing, chopping and cooking and seasoning and all that stuff is a very creative act. And then you
Oh,
get
yeah.
to enjoy it, right?
It's like
And
writing. You're
so,
writing the meal.
yeah. So I think there's creativity in our midst
Yeah.
if it's looking at these as simple tasks as creative tasks and sometimes necessary tasks like cooking something so that we can eat as a creative endeavor.
Yeah.
It's all around us. And I've gotten, I'll play around with Photoshop with my photos. I do the family calendar every year with pictures that everyone has taken of the family, and it's a creative experience to come up with what's going to be on this month and what's the theme, and putting it together. Shutterfly has a real user friendly, intuitive software, and so every year I do that, and I always look forward to it because it's a real creative act
Yeah.
and something that everyone in the family really appreciates.
I'm sure you definitely know you get feedback on that. People probably just love it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yeah, in fact, to the point that I think I'm going to be doing it the rest of my life.
Oh, really?
It was
Yeah.
kind of a one-off until I realized everybody loved it so much. Oh,
Yeah. Every
yeah.
year
So
they're
that's their
like,
Christmas
can't
present.
wait.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But I get the desired response, so it's been fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I would say, look for opportunities for creativity in the everyday
Oh,
would
that's a
be some,
great mantra. Yeah, because they're there. Those opportunities are there. It doesn't have to take one exact form
right,
or another. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I think you also you correct me if I'm wrong. I think you knit, you edit video,
Tried it.
you do home.
Knitting it was passing interest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I describe myself, the fancy word is dilettante, which
Yes.
I
Yeah.
laugh at. But if you look it up, I call myself a dabbler because I've done a lot of things once
Right.
over the years. Like I only need to lay linoleum once.
Oh my gosh. Once is
Yeah.
enough, I would think.
Once
Yeah.
was, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain things that I've done that I'm really proud. I'm a really good painter. We actually have a little rental house next door that I spent 3 months working to renovate, and with a contractor who taught me a lot. And I'm really proud of my painting skills, but I don't think I ever want to do it again.
Oh,
'Cause-
interesting. You had the
yeah.
talent, but not necessarily the desire.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But I'm very
Okay.
proud of my work. Yes. And
Yeah.
so, no, I think it's okay to pick up things and learn them and call it good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And yeah. And I've done a lot of, I did that with knitting for a couple months and called it good. And said, yeah, okay, I can do this. I don't need to do this. And I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
So,
well, that's how you find out what you do like. If and
yeah.
you try
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Things stick and some things don't, and that's okay. Yeah.
And one thing that did stick was your marriage. You've been married for 33 years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's one of the great creative acts of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's creative. You know, maintaining and growing a relationship is a very creative act.
For sure. And it
Yeah.
takes work.
Yeah. Powerful, important work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But much gratitude for it.
Oh, for sure. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, our marriage really is at the center of our lives. That and Sarah would feel like I'd be remiss not to say God too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you
Because
said faith is very
yes,
important.
because we are guided very much by our beliefs of our purpose here and to find purpose here. Yeah.
So kind of drawing on how much your relationship with your wife has really been a central force. I asked you what a perfect day would look like, and you said, well, it would have to be with my wife. She'd have to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But tell me some more of the other things that would happen on your perfect day.
One of the things I thought about, because I thought about that question some more, and you said, what would be the perfect day? And probably the first thing I would say if I was rubbing the genie's bottle with a perfect day, it would have more time.
Mm.
The perfect day would last longer than 24 hours because
Oh,
I don't run out of things to do, and I've
yeah.
always left wanting to do things. But the perfect day would be with us doing something together, and it would probably be something recreational. And just enjoying each other and enjoying something outside of ourselves together, having joy together. I referenced we had this just magical vacation that had been postponed by COVID to go to New Zealand and Australia back in
Ah,
last March, and I just wanted to have a sensory vacation, so we stayed away from the cities and just concentrated on places that were beautiful and that just to soak them in, to breathe them in, to touch them and hold them. And my probably the perfect day of that vacation, we had rented a Airbnb in a little remote town, Kaikoura, on
mm.
the South Island, East Coast.
Okay.
And
So Auckland is the capital, I think.
and it's on the North Island.
Oh, and that's on the North Island. Okay.
Yeah, but the big mountains and the New Zealand Alps are on the South Island.
Oh, I didn't know there were
Anyway,
New Zealand apps. Oh, Alps.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
anyway, there were snow-capped mountains behind us. There was a absolutely vacant black sand beach in front of us. And we could have gone into town and done things. In fact, the day before, we'd gone out sea kayaking, which was a great fun. But I I could not wrench myself from this spot that we had traveled thousands upon thousands of miles to get to, that was so remote and so astonishingly perfect. And so we just spent the day there. We walked the beach. We rode bikes. The Airbnb owner had an errand, and so her dog got lonely and came and spent the day with us.
Oh, wow.
And so we got to borrow a dog who was delightful, Fern, the hunting dog, and she walked the beach with us. And we talked and we read and we ate good food that we had cooked ourselves, and we breathed. And we didn't have any other distractions than that. And it was a perfect day.
Yeah.
Just enjoying life and the world around me.
And
Yeah.
I would wonder if, in a way, retirement is really just a chance to do that more. I mean, you can't always be in New Zealand, but you can at
Yeah.
least
Right.
look around and feel the world instead of hurrying to your
Yeah.
job or whatever.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think Sarah and I do try to remind ourselves we do need to take time to put the to-do list aside.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is even if you call yourself retired, I'm always going to have a to-do list. It's magical thinking to think I'm ever going to get to the end of that thing.
Right. Right. I need to remind myself
Right?
that. Yeah.
But to do things together, I'm like right now. Actually, Shane McAnally, the songwriter, he recommended a book to us, to
Oh.
me, went during the interview, and after I got off, I said, "Sarah, let's listen to it together." And so we on our drive back, we just came back from North Carolina on Monday. On our drive back, we listened to it, and we're finishing up now in yet our latest. I mentioned this to you. little health indulgence, we bought an infrared sauna.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so
that sounded great.
we've been sauning and listening to this book, and it's given us opportunity to talk about the things that this book is about.
Yeah.
And so that's to be intentional, to try to create opportunities to grow closer, I think is important.
And what's the name of the book, if you don't mind? Maybe someone would also want to check it out.
From strength to strength.
From strength to strength. I like the
And
sound of it.
yeah, and I'm trying to remember. Brooke is his last name. Arthur Brooke, I think, is the author. And I would recommend. It's interesting. It really spoke to Shane, who's just turning 50, and it really would have spoken to me as I was leaving my career at the Dallas Morning News, big time. I've been heartened to hear a lot of this book and go, oh, I did that, or oh, I'm doing that. But it really is finding purpose in the second half of your life.
Oh, that
So
sounds
yes, it would
fantastic.
be an important book for your readers, your listeners to know. I call them readers. Huh.
Hey,
Oh, boy, I'm a
you
print
know,
journalist. For your listeners to know about. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And it was according to the cover, it's a New York Times bestseller. So I would not be the first person to be recommending the book, but From
by
Strength to Strength is the name of it.
and I just looked it up. So by Arthur C. Brooks, it looks like, From Strength to Strength.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the tip. And I'm just
Yeah.
personally, I'm trying to read more
Yeah.
books. That's kind of one of my things. But I imagine a lot of our listeners read and want to read more.
Yeah, and that's something that I really want to do. I don't read as many books as I wish I did.
Yeah,
It's that's a hard thing, and again, living into my retirement, giving myself permission to sit and read a book is a hard thing for me to do.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like you feel guilt, like you should be back on that to-do list or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Nancy, is there
And
anything?
that's always been my first love. Yeah.
Is it to-do list or reading?
Yeah, reading is my first. No, reading was my first love. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's
yeah.
probably why you got into writing. Then I'm guessing if you love
Pretty
reading.
much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Nancy, is there anything else you would like to share before we go? You've been so generous with your time and your wisdom. You've given us a feast of the senses, as you would say.
Yeah. I was looking over my notes that I'd sent to you, and one thing kind of stuck out to me that I've been thinking about more, because you asked for advice at the end. What would you tell people your age? And this feeds into your organization, which also deals with finances, is I would say take care of your assets. And we tend to define that financially, but take stock of the intangibles that you still hold as your assets, like your brain that works.
That is
and your
quite an
body
asset.
that's still
yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Your relationships,
Yeah.
all the assets in your life that transcend finances,
Yeah.
that are probably just as precious, if not more so. Take care of them.
Manage your
And hopefully they'll last a life.
manage this pointing at myself portfolio, not just the one
Yeah,
that's at your broker.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Nancy Kruh, thank you so much for joining us on the Happiest Retirees podcast.
Oh, well, this has been a joy. Thank you for having me. I didn't know if I'd have anything to say, and now I've said too much.
No way. I mean, we may have to have you back so we can continue this.
Okay.
In the meantime, give Reba
I'll
our
bring back
best.
some country music secrets.
There we go. Yeah.
I don't have her phone number. I can't, her publicist I could talk to.
Talk to Reba's publicist and, see what you can do.
All right. All right.
Okay, Nancy,
Will
thank
do.
you so much. You
All
have a
right.
great day.
You're welcome. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.